Oh my God, let me just do that again. So I just want to introduce Sam from Squeak Shout, who's kindly come to speak to us today about SEO, search engine optimization, helping you to get seen in the search results on Etsy, which is a really key thing for the ladies in the group because they're starting out with Etsy, and there's a lot of competition in furniture upcycling out there as well. It's very, very big growth industry, and so there's a lot of people coming into it and wondering how to use Etsy well and get seen. So Sam helps creative businesses with their social media. So Instagram and Etsy, I'd say, are two of your big things, creating content and getting sales, more importantly, using the content to get sales. And you're a handmade seller yourself. So it all comes from real experience. And she's got her own community. What's it called? The Confident Creators Club, which I love the name of because it's sort of a bit like ours. And also you've got courses around Instagram and Pinterest. No, not Pinterest. That's what I was doing on the last thing.
SEO.
And you do a podcast. I don't know how you do all these things.
The magic art of time.
Yeah, but also if you guys go and look at Sam's website and Instagram, it's all beautifully branded as well. So the branding side of your businesses and the information you share, all the tips and tricks, is very impressive. I'd love to have somebody like you helping me, to be honest, with all of that, because yeah, fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing the tips that you can share with everybody, and I will shut up now and let you take the screen. Sam's going to take some questions at the end, so I think that's the plan, isn't it? That you're going to go through some presentations.
Absolutely, yeah. I imagine there'll be lots of questions, so we will leave a good amount of time at the end. So
marvelous.
Let me, if you wouldn't mind allowing me to share my screen, and we can get going.
Will. So I wonder if I just make you host or just keep quiet.
I think you can just, there we go. Okay, let me get the right screen. So if you can just confirm in a moment that you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, fab. Okay. So if in case anyone knows nothing about me, you'll soon learn that purple is my favorite color and you'll see it on every slide. So hopefully you like purple just as much as me. But today for you guys, we're going to talk about how to be seen by buyers in the Etsy search results. So that is the theme for today, how you can use search engine optimization. Now, I know this is a word that quite often puts the fear into people. It sounds super techy, but hopefully by the end of this session, I demystify the fact that it sounds super techy and hard. And hopefully you go, oh, that makes sense, and know the basics of how to use it. That's my goal for this session. So let's get started. So in this masterclass, it's going to be roughly about 45 minutes. We're going to cover an introduction to search engine optimization, which if I refer to it as SEO, it's obviously quicker to say. So search engine optimization, SEO. We're going to learn how to optimize your Etsy listings so that you can be seen in the Etsy search results, so that you can be found by the people looking for this beautiful furniture that you are creating and designing. And of course, we're going to look at then an overview of some of the other Etsy SEO factors that affect not necessarily if you're shown, but where you're shown in the search results. So if you've ever heard of your rank or position or page 1 versus page 10, that's the other side that we're going to briefly go over. So if you haven't already, you may want a notebook and pen. I will, if Nikki has a way of doing this, I'll obviously share the slides afterwards so that you can look over them after. That's not a problem. And of course, any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer at the end. So brief introduction. Thank you very much, Nikki. I am basically a marketing professional. I've been in the marketing industry for 10 plus years now. I'm older than I look. And I basically very quickly transitioned from my corporate job to open my own handmade business. The kind of corporate office job wasn't for me. So I kind of built, hustled on the side, built my handmade business, and very quickly got that so that I could leave and go full time into it. And I'm now at the position, I think we're 3 years on now, where I've sold thousands of products either on Etsy itself. I predominantly use Etsy just for search traffic. So any kind of marketing, whether it's social media, I usually direct to my own website. But I've sold thousands there, as well as thousands across other marketplaces. So SEO is kind of my jam, branding is my jam. I like to help women and just fellow creatives make money and sell beautiful products that their customers can love. And that's what I'm all about. And if I can save you a bit of time doing your marketing too, we're on to a roll. So that's a little bit about me. So let's start with an introduction to specifically Etsy SEO. So we've got a definition and I've broken it down because sometimes the definitions can be super techy. So what is a search engine? A search engine is a computer program. So this is when we're talking about the Etsy website and specifically the Etsy search bar. So when you open it up, that bar at the top, that's what a search engine looks like to us if we were using it. That searches for and identifies items within a database. So you can see these drawers behind me. Imagine Etsy has their own filing cabinet, as it were, that has all the Etsy listings inside. And what they have to do is obviously know very, very quickly everything that's in the filing cabinet and be able to take it out so that when someone is searching in the Etsy search bar, they show that person what they're looking for. So hopefully I've given you kind of a quick breakdown of how it works. I'm all about the visuals, so hopefully that helped. But yeah, computer program, the Etsy website, the search bar, they're looking at all the listings on Etsy, and then they pick the ones that match and deliver that to the person searching. Now, if you're anything like me and you like pictures, I've got a picture version of this. So the Etsy search bar, that's where someone types in their words. Obviously, the Etsy algorithm, like literally in milliseconds, looks at all the probably billions of listings on Etsy. And they'll say, oh, this one matches, this one matches. So you can see that's the stars amongst the GIFs, if you like, on that image. And they're the ones that they pull out and kind of show to the customer. So what we need to do is optimize our listings in order to let Etsy know what our product is about so that it can show it to those people who are searching for it. And that is very simply what search engine optimization is. It just is given a really technical name that confuses people, but think of it as the filing system. That's the simplest way. So how to optimize your Etsy listings. Let's talk. So now you know what needs to happen. Let's talk about how you do it. So optimization at its core form is about keywords. Now, it's not only about keywords. We will be talking about other factors, but let's start with keywords because this is one of the biggest things that you can do to optimize your listings so that they are picked out of that filing cabinet and shown to those buyers who are looking for them. So let's talk about what a keyword is. So a keyword is a word, or it could be a series of words, a phrase, that are commonly used by searchers to find a product. So for you guys, you're obviously designing beautiful furniture, colorful furniture, modern furniture, whatever these words are. Those would be the words that people might be putting into that search bar to find what you're creating and selling. So your aim, therefore, is to find out what these keywords are, because don't forget, a keyword is something that more than one person's using. It's quite a few people. So how do you find them? And then also, how do you identify the ones that will deliver the best traffic? And when I say the best traffic, this isn't necessarily the most traffic. It's the best traffic in terms of, for you as a designer, creator, someone who is selling their products or art, that's going to result in a sale. Because as much as we love to do this, we all love what we do. Obviously, the way we sustain ourselves is to hopefully sell a few. So it's all about identifying the ones that deliver the best traffic, the ones that are buyers searching. So one of the things I like to get across is it's not necessarily about the most amount of people. So it's not necessarily quantity. It is about quality. So that's a key one. That's definitely one you want to write down. So where do we find these keywords? It's not something that we want to just pluck out of our brains or think, what would I use to search for it? That is a good place to start. But you obviously, as a marketer, you always want to have some sort of data that backs up what you're thinking is correct and also confirms to you they're the right words to use. So I would always recommend an Etsy specific tool. The two that I recommend are eRank and Marmalade. Both are Etsy specific keyword tools. They do have a lot of other things in them. You can kind of forget those half the time. Just focus on the keyword research, I would say. My personal favorite is eRank. You do have a free option for that. And I think the lowest tier is $6 per month, which if you are selling the same sort of product over and over again, maybe the design changes, but the actual product doesn't, you can do kind of the keyword research in 1 month and then just cancel it because it's like an ongoing subscription. Whereas Marmalade, I think, is about $20 per month. So I like eRank. It's the one I recommend to all my community, my students. It's the one I teach in my Etsy SEO course. And of course, it's the one I'm showing you on the screen here. So I've even got a screenshot of potentially 2 keywords that might fit for the products that you're creating and selling. So we've got bedroom furniture and painted furniture. So in eRank, this is the paid version. If you've got a free version, you'll see a limited amount of this data. But what it does show you, and it says US traffic, but that's just because the Etsy market, their biggest market is the US. But we're lucky enough in the UK that we are quite similar to the US, so it's still good traffic and it kind of mirrors in the UK. So I still recommend it, even though it says US traffic. They're just doing this to save money. It's one payment as opposed to worldwide, but it's still good data. So you can see bedroom furniture. The average searches per month for people using bedroom furniture is just under 1,000 per month. So that's pretty good. And you'll see it's a green bar. So that indicates it's a good number of searches. Next, even more importantly, how many people, when they're using that keyword, are clicking on one of the listings that they're being shown. So you can see again, there's 200 people, which is again, results then in the next column, which is the click-through rate. When it says CTR, that means click-through rate. And it's basically the searches, or it's the clicks divided by searches divided by clicks, one of the two. And you'll see that 20% is actually pretty good. So that would be one that you might try. And if it fits to your product, you use it as a keyword. And of course, the competition, it's going to be red. This day and age, there are a lot of sellers on Etsy. So you're, to be honest, going to struggle to find anything that isn't red or has 50 probably plus competition in that line. So don't let the red put you off. And of course, if it's a good keyword, lots of people are going to be using it too. So don't worry about that too much. Next one down, obviously painted furniture. Again, we've got a lot more searches there. So there's nearly 2,500 per month. It's a little bit more like general painted furniture. It's still quite specific. It's not just furniture. It's a certain type of furniture. But again, it's quite general in a sense of it's not specific. It's not like painted bedroom cabinet, you know, that's quite specific. So painted furniture is still quite general. This person maybe is looking for ideas, but you can see that actually through the data, there's quite a few people clicking on these images. So again, nearly 1,000, and that's got a higher click-through rate. So again, that's another keyword to potentially use. So this is why I like the Etsy specific keyword tools. You get a lot of data that will help you find through their traffic light system, as it were, good keywords to use. But if you don't want to pay for anything or they seem a bit too confusing, don't worry. You can obviously use other kind of search tools, or so Google itself is usually quite good at suggesting some keywords. Anything that says at the bottom where it says like other searches, those are all keywords. And of course, when you're typing into Google itself, it usually kind of auto completes or give you some options. those can also be classed as keywords too. And of course, my favorite, Pinterest. Everyone's on Pinterest. But my favorite are the Etsy specific tools because it's Etsy traffic. So if you're selling on Etsy, obviously the idea is to use Etsy data because it's going to be the best data that you can. So that would be how you use eRank or something to identify good keywords to try in your listings. So what are the best keywords to use? Well, you may have already got this from the examples that I gave you, but the best keywords when you're doing your data and your research, so when you're using eRank or something and you're maybe searching like furniture or bedroom furniture, like it will give you lots and lots and lots of other keywords that relate to those. And obviously you can pick and choose the ones that relate to your product. So what is the product itself? And the more specific you can be, the better. Like I say, if you're more specific, the search is going to go down, but that's not a bad thing because the more specific you can get, then the more potential you have for that person to buy the product because that person is searching, they know what they want, they're more likely to buy it. Whereas someone searching quite vague, like painted furniture or just furniture, do they know what they want? Probably not. So they're probably not in that buying phase. They're more in that research phase of their journey. And we know this as consumers ourselves. You know, depending what we're buying, we have almost like a checklist of, is it the right size? Is it going to fit where I want to put it? Like there's all those checklists. And of course, our buyers are doing the same. So if we can help them in any way by targeting good keywords and of course, making sure this is all in our Etsy listings, it's going to help us out. So of course, keywords that describe the product, yes. But also be aware that people call things by different names. So I've used quite a few already here. So it might be cabinet, it might be drawers, it might be storage system, like depending on the product, people call things different things. So sometimes it's also good to see what else is either you think of or that's coming up in your data. And of course, adding that as an option too. Other ways as well is what is the product's use? So what is the problem or the need that it solves? So again, I've used kind of storage system as an example here. That's not necessarily the item, although it could be, but that's more what someone wants it to do. They want it to store things. So that would be another way to think of keywords to use. And of course, how it solves it, there might be some distinguishable differences to that. So it might be drawers as opposed to doors, you know, variety of different versions. And of course, the benefits. So this would be something like modern painted or a certain theme. You know, what does that person get from buying the product? So again, if it's like a storage system, it's going to help them be tidy. So people might be searching for something like drawers to keep bedroom tidy. Like people search absolutely amazing things, and this is where the data comes in to help you. So that's a rough example of some of the keywords that you might use in an Etsy listing to be found in search. So I've used one of Nikki's wonderful listings as a great example, and I've done a very, very quick eRank search. So this was me probably about 10 minutes going through and finding some good keywords. So these are good ones to write down if they're applicable to you. But obviously, I always recommend to also do your own research, and there are lots more. So for this item, very quickly, you can see that people are searching using a variety of words. So we've got upcycled furniture. We've got restored furniture. We've got refinished furniture. We've got painted furniture. We've got hand painted furniture. Painted bedroom furniture. So if this could potentially be used as bedroom furniture, that would be a good one. Even funky painted furniture. So that person knows more than painted furniture. They know they want it to probably be bright, colourful, bit different. So that would be a little bit more specific than painted furniture. modern furniture, and of course, if we want to again showcase different words, sideboard. Now, sideboard might not be the best word because it's one word on its own. I would always advise you as much as possible to find keyword phrases, so 2 to 3, maybe more keyword words together. But because your items are very specific on the Etsy platform, that one might also work for you. So again, that was a very, very quick, obviously some of these may not apply to the item. This isn't my speciality, if you like, but those would be very, very quick items. So you can see that people call things by different names. So quickly write all those down. Like Sam said, these are good, quick. So I'll quickly move on. So now you know what you're looking for, you know what a keyword is, you know where to find them, you know kind of vaguely what you're looking for. Where do you put them? You know you've got to put them somewhere, but where do you put them? So this is where to use your keywords. Etsy only look for keywords in 4 parts of your Etsy listing. So they don't look in your shop, they don't look in your description. There is only 4 places they look at: the title, the 13 tags that you have, so use all 13, the category that you choose, so this one's limited. Obviously, if you're selling furniture, you're going to probably pick something that's furniture related, and then the attributes. So the attributes will depend on the category that you pick, but for your industry and products, it's going to probably be things like the type of wood, the size, maybe the room that it would go in. It will depend on the category, but again, fill those in as much as possible, because all the words or the choices that you pick there are used to help match you. So that's it. You can forget about putting keywords in your description. Etsy don't look at it. So you've only got a few places to do this. And again, what we're trying to do is put these keywords there so that Etsy goes, tick, this person matches the person who is searching their words. So I need to grab that listing out the filing cabinet, as it were, the virtual filing cabinet, and deliver it into the search results. So the key element I want to get over is the matching. And if you can match 100%, this means you have more chance of appearing on the first page of the search results. So page 1, those first listings that you see when someone searches, which obviously means you have a greater chance of getting clicked and getting orders, because as much as we love shopping, all of us no doubt love shopping, we're not going to go through 100 pages. I don't think any of us have probably got time for that. So we want to be as high up in the search results as we can. And the way we achieve that is by matching as close as possible to 100%. So obviously, the main way to do this, because our category and our attributes are limited, we have to kind of select what is there. The main way we do this is the title and the tags. So what I've done is I've used some of the examples I gave you already. So we've got upcycled furniture, restored furniture, and refinished furniture. So I'm obviously going to put those in the title exactly as they are. So the words in the same order, and I'm just going to separate them just so it looks nice for the customer to read, you know? So that's it. That's one place, tick, that Etsy goes, right, this listing matches upcycled furniture, restored furniture, etc., etc. Then, to get even more brownie points with Etsy, we want to again also put those in our tags as close as possible to 100%. So again, obviously you are limited with characters. I think it's 20 characters off the top of my head. And you're going to want to put upcycled furniture in one tag, restored furniture in another, because those two will fit. And then for any kind of phrases that are longer than the 20 characters, you can obviously just split those across 2, maybe 3 tags. And the tags all work a bit like Tetris, in the sense that even though those keywords are in 2 or 3 tags, Etsy can read them all together. So don't worry if you are splitting them, it still works. So yeah, that would be my biggest example and guidance for you. Put the main keywords that you are targeting in those, and then you're probably going to have room in terms of your tags for extra words possibly. Then fill those with extra words that you found that people are using to search. Now you may not 100% match those, but even if you 75% match, so let's say the words are not in your title but they're in your tags, you're still going to get shown, you're still going to get picked out of that filing cabinet. You just might not be as high in the search results. So those are going to be kind of extra words that you think would be good. So, however, as much as I love keywords and they are the #1 way that you can ensure that Etsy show you to the people that you want to see your items, so the people searching for your items, keywords are only one element of search engine optimization, whether it's on Etsy or, to be honest, in this day and age, any search engine. So what I have described to you in terms of keywords is the first Etsy SEO factor, and this is called relevancy. So if you've ever read the Etsy kind of search guide, that's what they refer to there as relevancy. So how relevant is your listing to what the person is searching? So like I said, this means obviously if you are relevant, if you've got that 20 to 100% match, you're going to be delivered in the search results. And then obviously the more relevant, you're going to be higher up in the search results. However, your position is also affected by a number of other factors. So let's go through those just so that you're aware of them. And of course, I've got helpful tips along the way to help you improve your listings, to help you improve your position using those factors too. And there's 5 other factors. So, very quickly, this is my graph to explain why you want to be on page 1. So page 1, you've got a much higher percentage of being clicked on, you know, and obviously as the pages go on, so you can see page 10, which is the bottom of that graph, it's only like a 1% chance. And that's because people will drop off after a few pages. They'll get bored. They'll think that Etsy doesn't have what they're looking for. So you always want to try as much as possible to be as high up into the rankings as you can, which is why you use SEO to do that. So that's a good graph to show you. So let's talk about the other 4 Etsy factors, not 5, there's 5 in total, the other 4. Factor number 2, every listing that you have on Etsy will have a quality score. Now, this isn't something you can find out because it's constantly changing, and we'll explain why in a minute. But every listing will get a quality score based on how searchers or shoppers are interacting with it on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, second-by-second basis, which is why you can never find out because it's constantly changing. So some of the positive interactions, so some of the things that are going to help you get a good listing quality score, which obviously means you get higher up in the rankings, as long as you match, are people visiting on your listing when they see it in the search results. So obviously that's going to mean that you're using relevant keywords, so it's being shown to the right people, and that you've got a good thumbnail, an interesting thumbnail and a relevant thumbnail. So thumbnails are very important. Another positive interaction is obviously people favoriting your item, which especially for your items, because they are bigger and probably a higher investment, people might favorite an item in order to go away, think about it, maybe even check their bank if they've got funds, and then come back later. So favorites, as much as I know people sometimes get annoyed of, people are favoriting my item but not buying it. Favorites are good. Favorites are great for your listing quality score so that more people see it. So the favorites are very good to celebrate getting too. And then, of course, the biggest positive interaction is someone buying it. You know, that is one of the biggest ways to kind of boost your listing quality score. So obviously, I know you guys are creating probably quite a few one-off items, but if you ever do create items that are more than one, obviously my top tip there in order to bank, as it were, your listing quality score for your second or third item or fourth or fifth is to make sure if you have got similar or the same kind of item, put them in the same listing, so that if the first one sells, the other one gets that boost in terms of listing quality score. Okay. And then obviously kind of negative or maybe neutral interactions, it depends, are if your listings are being shown in the search results but no one's clicking on them. Obviously that probably means that maybe the keywords are wrong, or it's being shown like the thumbnail's not very attractive. So of course, make sure those two are correct. And of course, people visiting the listing but taking no further action, there's obviously a reason. Now, those are kind of neutral / minor negative interactions. Don't worry about it too much because there are lots of things going on. So my big thing here to take away in terms of maximizing your listing quality score is to make sure you're using the right keywords, relevant keywords. Don't try and rank for something that you think, oh, if someone's searching for this, they might like this too. No, make sure it describes your product and it's going to be people looking for what you're selling. And of course, make sure you've got a really eye-catching, easy to understand what the item and see the item is thumbnail. So that's the second ranking factor. Factor number 3, similar to your listing quality score, your shop has a quality score. Now, Etsy like to give this a funky name. It's a market and customer experience score, which basically means your shop quality score. So you can just ignore their name. And again, unfortunately, this isn't something you can find out. Again, it's probably changing, probably not as quickly as your listings, but it's probably changing on a day-to-day basis, again, based on the interactions with your shop as a whole. So this score is affected by your reviews. Obviously, better reviews, your shop's going to have a better quality score. And then obviously, if you've got negative reviews, they may impact your quality score. But again, you'll never know. So don't worry about if you get a few like bad reviews, the good ones outweigh the bad. Having complete shop policies. So just make sure you filled out everything within your shop to the best of your ability that you can. Obviously, for you guys, this probably isn't as relevant, but making sure that you're selling things you're allowed to sell. So obviously, if you guys are designing projects that you're going to sell, make sure there's no Disney, no copyright items that you're painting onto them and things, you know, just be sensible. And then something that they have currently suspended because of COVID and shipping kind of issues, but something they will probably bring back is the order dissatisfaction rate. Now, this is something you will, when they bring it back, be able to find out what your rate is, the ODR rate. And basically, this is just, it's like if you sell on eBay, Amazon, any of these places, because Etsy obviously have a reputation in terms of their own that they want to protect. They want to make sure that everyone on the platform is using the platform to the best of their ability. So if you're running your shop with customer service in mind and you're doing the best that you can in terms of customer service, you haven't got to worry about ODR at all. But things that affect your ODR, again, are all the things I've listed: selling copyright items, getting bad reviews, people making claims about you, which if you're doing, which is why they've suspended it now because of the shipping issues and things that we're having. So like I say, if you're running your shop the best that you can with good customer service in mind, it's not something you've got to worry about at all. So that's the third factor. And then the fourth one, so we've got one more after this, is recency. Now, recency, when I say recent, that probably makes you think, oh, newer listings get seen quicker. And I know back in the day, this was what was happening. If you posted a listing, it tended to be at the top, if you like, the first page. That doesn't work anymore. Instead, what recency now means, as we've talked about the listing quality score, so obviously they use the data, the interactions to get you a quality score for that listing. When you post a new listing, obviously they have no data. They don't know how people are interacting with it. So when you're posting a new listing, they kind of give it a little temporary boost. This could be minutes, it could be hours, it could be days. Obviously, it depends. At some point, they probably in the background have a rule of, let's say 100 people see it, and they use that as their like rank, if you like, to then decide what the score is. This is just my estimation. It's not a rule. Don't quote me on that. But what they do is they boost it. So the biggest way to maximize or use this SEO factor is when you're posting a listing, you know, you're hitting that publish button, just make sure you've done everything else that I've taught you in terms of putting keywords in the right place, making sure that your photos are full, you know, making sure that the listing is complete, because then when you post it, all those interactions with it are going to be the best that they can. It's going to be shown to the right people. People are going to click on it and they're going to obviously hopefully favorite it, order it, you name it, all those great things. So that would be my number one tool as to maximize this kind of boost that you do get, however short or long it is. Then the final factor that we have, the fifth factor, is shoppers' habits. Now, this is the number one reason that there is no way for you to find out where your position is in search, or your rank is in search, or whatever you want to call it. So tools like eRank and things will claim that they can tell you that. They can't. Okay, that's, as much as I love them, I use them for keyword research, I don't recommend them for other things, because it's just not data that they can provide you. And the number one reason for this is because, as with pretty much all search engines now, they will focus on delivering the listings most likely for that person to interact with or buy. So this is based on that shopper's habits. So the things that we all hate, cookies, you know, search history, whatever it is, and Etsy do this themselves. They know, let's say, my example here, if Etsy knows that a buyer has interacted with your listing or shop before, so let's say they favorited one of your items or they've ordered from you before, your listing that now matches their new search query or search words is more likely to appear on page 1 because they've got history with you. That person, like Etsy, if you like, in their big computer brain knows that they have bought from you. Like, let's say they also left a review, like they loved what they bought from you. You're going to be shown up higher in the searches. Now, obviously, it's only going to work that way if you've got the keywords that they're using in your listing. But this is why sometimes you'll get, obviously, repeat purchases. If, you know, Etsy is a search engine, so people can come in via your shop to do that, but also it can work in the search engine. And it's also, like I say, the number one way why you'll never find out where you are in the search results. So because it literally changes for every person. So that has been a very, very quick run through of those factors. Let me now bring it all together for you in a bit of a summary. So Etsy SEO is all about helping the algorithm or the Etsy search bar or the Etsy supercomputer, whatever you want to call it, understand who to show your product listings to. They want to go into that filing cabinet, pull out the right ones and deliver it to the customer. So your optimization is helping them know to pick your product. So obviously there's a lots of factors involved in this. Some you can 100% control through keyword research, finding the keywords, putting them in the right place, all those things. Whereas others you can only semi-control. So the ones that you can kind of semi-control are your listing and shop quality score. So obviously there's things you can do, such as make sure your shop policies are all complete, make sure your listing has the right keywords in the title, make sure it's got all the photos that you can, it's got all the information that customer would want to know in order to buy your product. But unfortunately the actual like interaction stage, obviously you haven't got control over. So there's things you can do, but things that you can't. But the one thing I want you to take away, hopefully I have at least described what Etsy SEO is about, but the number one reason to use Etsy SEO is it is a wonderful passive marketing technique to use. Because by using Etsy SEO, it means that your listings can be pulled out of that filing cabinet 24/7. So you haven't actively got to be clicking buttons on your laptop. You know, you can be sleeping in bed and someone can buy your, you know, find your item and buy it whilst you're sleeping. So that's the number one reason to go through sometimes the more painful side of SEO, because it is the number one way to help sell your items passively, as it were. And of course, when you do your SEO, it doesn't start working necessarily straight away. It will take a little bit of time for the Etsy algorithm to read it. But once it's got it and it's working, it works for months, years, you name it. I mean, some of my listings I haven't touched in the 3 years since I've started, and they're still working. So it can take a little bit of time to get started, but once you've done it, hopefully it's something you won't need to touch ever again, or at least not regularly. So obviously, if anyone has any questions now, I would be more than happy to answer them. This is my jam, so don't hold back any questions that you have. And if you want a little bit more help with Etsy SEO, I actually have a free guide that you'll see the link on screen. It's squeakandshout.co.uk/Etsy roadmap. And this is kind of my auto sales for Etsy SEO method. It's something I've created based on having my shop as almost 100% Etsy SEO. So I drive no traffic to myself. I've done lots of tests, lots of analyzing, and I've found what works, which obviously I've shared as much as I can with you in this quick session. But if you want more, then the free guide would be a good place for you to go next. And that's it. So any questions, feel free to pop them in the box. I will now stop sharing, and I will share the link in the comments, so don't worry. But yeah, any questions, now is your chance to fire away and ask me. I do apologize if I spoke quick. I get rather excited about this topic.
That was perfect to me.
Perfect then.
I'm just going to put my video back on, actually. I'll let you take the stage.
Yeah. So any questions? There might be quite a few people typing. Oh, hang on. We've got 2 question boxes. Okay. Let me make sure I've got them all there. But yeah, I'll grab a drink. So does that help you, Nikki, as well? Does that give you some keywords to now go away and use in your listing?
Yeah, that's it. I knew about Marmalade, but I've never used it above when I first started doing listings. And then you just fall into habits, I think, of not. I mean, it does take time, doesn't it, to check out your to do your homework and to check and to analyze and stuff. And sometimes when, you know, in a lot of what we're doing, we're making as well as doing all this stuff as well.
Yes.
Stuff falls down and it feels like there's a lot to do. But I didn't realize about splitting keywords across the what they're called in the
tags. Yeah.
Tags, thank you. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that also, you know, 2 to 3 words was good. I thought that you're getting a bit long-winded, so that's really helpful. One thing I wonder actually when I'm doing my keywords is sometimes I think, am I typing something that is a bit too obvious, implied from the listing, and sort of listening to you there, I don't know that. I think perhaps I'm skipping past some things that I should be, because a lot of those keywords there are repeating the same sort of information that I perhaps wouldn't. I'd say recycled, vintage. In fact, when I first started doing stuff on Etsy, I thought that writing vintage furniture as a tag was a bit blinking obvious, and that you shouldn't necessarily do that because. But
no, this is the thing, because you've got to do that matching. You've got to help the algorithm, as it were, give you that green tick of going, yes, okay, I need to shortlist that item. If you didn't have, let's say, vintage furniture in your title, if you don't have vintage anywhere, unless it's, let's say, a category or something, you're not going to be shown for that listing. So it's SEO is once you kind of get to it, and hopefully that's one of the things people will take away from this lesson is some of it is common sense. Like, obviously you want to do the data, but whatever you would use to describe your product is probably somewhere along the line a keyword that you want to use, because if you're thinking that way, there's probably a lot of other people using that word to find what you make.
Yeah, that's obviously where my thinking about it is a bit stuck in the past, because I think that's something somebody said to me maybe 4 years ago, that some of that stuff didn't need to be said. But in thinking about it, how silly in a way. It's something I don't necessarily make it abundantly clear, and don't repeat those kind of restored, refinished, painted. I wouldn't necessarily put all those in my tags. I tend to think you've got to get more specific in there with colour and stuff, but actually
no, because again, you're going to have
helpful.
probably things like that in the attributes. So that would be one place that they're in. But you've got to remember that, I mean, this is where the data comes in. If you know people, like let's say your design with all the zigzags, if that was like an ombre blue design rather than multiple colours, you might want to use the tag blue painted furniture, because it is blue and it would be probably something someone's looking for. Like let's say they've got a blue themed room. But probably on an item generally, they might not be using that term. So that's where the data comes in as to look for it, really.
Yeah. And it's helpful when you sell, of course, because then you can look and see what somebody actually was looking for when they're in your shop. So it obviously builds. But I must admit, I'm not very sort of good at keeping on top of it. So that's where, bad habits and being busy means that you've probably not paid as much attention to the data as you could.
Yeah, but this is what I teach in my course, especially for your items, if they are so similar in the sense that they're all furniture or something. One of the things I do teach in my course, which no one else seems to do, is how to do your keyword research in just 1 month. Because for my items, I obviously sell different designs on products, but my products are the same product. So I can do, like I say a month, but that's only because obviously that's the subscription to E-Rank or something. You know, you could do it all in a week, you could do it all in a day. Like, it just depends on the time that you have and the patience to some degree. But the reason I do that is because keywords really aren't going to change that often. Obviously, if you're selling something trendy, they might, like face masks right now and things like that. But if your products are, like you say, furniture and things, and furniture, like we might have trends in terms of this year we call it a cabinet, next year we call it a sideboard. Like, there are those kind of weird things, but most of the time your keywords won't change too much.
No. But is it an issue for them to be sort of similar between listings? I got the feeling that we had to try and make our, because we won't have more than one listing shown within search results. So
it depends. I mean, obviously, if you can, the more variety means more chance for people to find your shop, your listings, because someone can come through one listing that they find in the search results and then click through to your shop. So there is an argument for targeting different keywords, but my rule of thumb is just make sure your keywords relate to the product. So if you're selling 3 different sideboards that are all hand painted blue, your keywords are probably going to be similar.
Yeah, you can't get around that.
No. So we've got a few questions. Just going back to titles. So if I have a G-plan chest of drawers, how would you word the title, please? Okay, so as a non-furniture knower, I may need Nikki's help here. Is G-plan a certain style? Obviously, chest of drawers, that makes sense. Okay, so is that a brand that people know about and would be looking for?
Yes. Yeah.
Then yes, I would use that in your title. Obviously, again, use your data, make sure obviously it is something that people are looking for. But if they are, then yes, use that as one of your long tail keywords, because that is a good 4 to 5 words. That's very specific. So that's good. Should the title of the furniture listings be specific or generic? Great session, by the way. Thanks. So you want kind of a mix. My rule of thumb is, again, it's quality over quantity. So the more general search terms or keywords, so things like bedroom furniture, for example, obviously that is more specific than furniture, but it's still quite general. Bedroom furniture, is it a chest of drawers? Is it a side table? Is it a bed? Is it a wardrobe? Does that person know what they're looking for? So you want to be careful with those. And they might be ones that you use, but you've got to think, is that person ready to buy what I want, what I'm creating and what I'm selling? So my rule of thumb is, as much as possible, be as specific as possible. Now, obviously, those are going to have less search traffic because there's going to be less people who know exactly what they want. For instance, that G-plan chest of drawers. But if someone's using G-plan chest of drawers, they know what they want. They're probably ready to buy it. So that would be a great keyword to use. So it's a balance, more specific than general, but you're probably going to want a bit of both, is my answer. Is there a limit to the number of words in your title? Yes, there is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's probably something like 150 to 200 characters. So not words, it's characters. And you can usually fit, let's say your keywords are 3 words long, you can probably fit a good 10 plus in there. Now, I wouldn't advise you just putting keywords in your title because that can look a little bit spammy. Like, you've got to remember that the customer still needs to read this and understand what your product is about. So I tend to use maybe half of the listing for keywords. And of course, you want to try as much as can weave the keywords into a sentence if you can. But it's a balance, putting keywords in for the Etsy algorithm and of course, making sure the listing title is legible to the customer. Thank you, Sam, really helpful. Could you go over the comment about if you have a similar piece, you can use the same listing? Do you mean the same terms? So yeah, keyword terms you can definitely reuse, like we've just mentioned, in numerous listings. Obviously, like I've said, if you can use different ones, it just opens you up to more people finding your listings and shop. But yeah, always describe the product. So if you do have 2 pieces that are hand painted chest of drawers and they're a good keyword, then yeah, use it in both. But regarding the using the same listing, so as I described, the listing quality score, one of the positive interactions was if you get an order. So for your items, obviously, if they're one of a kind, you're not going to get that boost that when someone orders it is going to give you that listing, that bump in the listing quality score that you would get if you had more than one. So if you have one of a kind, you can't really do that. I wouldn't advise like putting another item in the same listing, because if someone's favorited it or saved it for later, they're going to be really confused because it's going to look a different product.
Just to let you know what a lot of us do is that we turn that listing into available for commission listings if we know we can. And so the really good thing about that is, it's happened for me in the past, but I don't do it so much now, is that obviously then gets the traction because people come back to it. The problem is people occasionally try and buy it, but we can just slightly change the terms around it and make sure that they know it's going to take them a few weeks. So, and that just means that we get the leverage off that sale.
Yeah, so, perfect. If it's something that you can recreate or you can get another one, yeah, absolutely. That would be the best tip, because then you're getting that juice from that order and it boosts that quality score. You can end up
creating. I ended in a site like to take mine down. I was like, I can't create this piece again because I'm getting bored more than anything else. But it's great when it's going. It's definitely worth doing.
It's that balance, isn't it? Of it's such a bestseller, but I'm so sick of looking at it. Okay, so that's good question. So that's a really good way actually of doing that. That's a really good way. Is there an advantage or disadvantage of having a new listing for each piece of furniture? As they are all unique, it's different to have multiple items in one listing. Yeah. I wouldn't say there's an advantage or a disadvantage. Obviously, if you have the same product, like I've said, you're going to get that higher listing quality score because you're going to have more orders linked to that one listing. But there are so many people doing one of a kind on Etsy that are doing amazing. So because that listing quality score is only one of 5 factors, it's not going to make or break you, is what I would say. So if you do have, and obviously Nikki's given an example of how you could do that, that would be a great way to do it. But don't worry about it if you have. The main way is if you are posting a new listing, like I've said, just make sure you've optimized it, you've filled it all out, you've put the keywords in so that when you do publish it, all that data that Etsy are getting when it's new, it's the best that it can be to give you that best quality score going forward. Really helpful presentation. Thanks. You're welcome, Claire. Is there an optimum number of items that helps? I think I heard somewhere you need at least 20 items to be seen, but I don't know how accurate that is. This is one of my favorite Etsy myths. There are a lot of people going out there telling you that you need 100 listings to be a successful Etsy shop. And that is a load of rubbish. I don't think within my shop, and a lot of my products are like repeat products, I don't think I've ever had over about 80 listings. I've probably on the majority of time had about 40 listings. So you do not need it to get sales. The reason people do say this, though, is obviously the more listings that you have, potentially the more keywords that you're targeting, and therefore it's the more chance to be seen because it's more keywords. So that's the reason people say it. But no, you can have 5 items and do extremely well. It's quality over quantity, as I always say. Lindsay, just as an example, as I've just listed it as a G-plan chest of drawers, should I be adding more in the title? Absolutely. If you have just got G-plan chest of drawers, then you definitely want to use all those characters within your title that you can. I know it's kind of, again, another Etsy myth going around that Etsy likes shorter titles. Etsy do kind of say this a little bit themselves, but if they've given you, let's say, 200 characters, use all 200 characters. The reason they say they like shorter titles is because that's what Google likes. But to be honest, you have a like, if I've given you 5 factors for Etsy SEO, Google probably have 100. So you have a very low chance of being seen, as it were, high up in the Google results. So don't worry about Google too much. It will happen naturally if you focus on the things that I've given you today. They're all Google kind of rules too, but Google has a lot more that it takes into account. So if Etsy are giving you 200 characters, use all 200 characters. So G-plan chest of drawers, and then obviously I've given you some keywords in this lesson that you could use if they work, or you can go off and obviously do your own research and find some that may be more better. Lindsay, thank you so much. Great session. You are welcome. So I think I've gone through all the questions.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Did you have anything else?
No, that was fantastic. I'm now like, right, I need to go and sort my shop out. And I've been doing a lot of commission work, so I haven't used Etsy as much as I should, but I think it's yeah, it's inspired me to get to also to feel like there's a little bit more I can be doing instead of just it being sit back and just wait for stuff to happen. I've been a bit like that with it, and when stuff happens, you're like, oh, brilliant, but it feels like there's a bit more you can be doing. Is it true about sort of keeping one of the things that it might be a furniture painter's myth, but about sort of making constant little changes to your shop and to your listings is helpful?
Any search engine will like activity. They obviously, again, one of their rules is they want to make sure they're showing the best items or the best, most reliable shops to the searchers. So yes, activity is good, but activity could be someone orders something and you ship it, or someone sends you a message in your shop and you answer the message. So activity is a broad subject. So my, again, rule of thumb is if your Etsy SEO, your keywords are working, don't touch them. Don't touch them. If they're working, don't touch them.
I think one of the things that I said in because I was showing the guys how to do a listing the other day, obviously based on how much I know, and I go in and sometimes change the highlighted items around just to kind of give it a zhuzh. I mean, that might be better visually for the people who are looking in my shop, just so it feels like it's changing. I don't know if that has any impact for Etsy itself.
It's activity. You've gone in and made a tweak. So yeah, that would be a good way. Especially if you've got items that aren't selling regularly, then any activity is just a reminder to Etsy that you are active, because obviously, again, they don't want people to order from shops that aren't going to ship the items and things.
So shop updates is better than playing around with your listings, because they need to be still referencing the same keywords and have
The main thing with SEO, like I say, it can take a while for Etsy to read your listing, and again, keywords go through trends, or just because you've got that listing quality score, like a keyword today might not be great because let's say your listing quality score isn't that great, but then next week, because you've had all this positive interaction, that keyword might be great. So my rule of thumb is when you kind of do your Etsy SEO, give it a minimum of 30 days. Don't touch any listing after you've set it up for 30 days. because 30 days worth of data is going to also give you a good amount of data to kind of look at. I mean, if you can leave it longer the better, because Etsy SEO can really, to kind of gain the momentum and see the results, most often it's kind of 60 to 90 days. But again, it could be shorter, it could be longer. I mean, I've had students who have taken my course that they've gone from like 50 to 150 sales in 4 weeks. But that's quite rare. And of course, that's a repeatable product. Like, that's a smaller product.
Yeah, there's furniture painters in the background going, oh my God.
Yeah, they're like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of painting and shipping and stuff. So obviously, so obviously that's smaller products and things. But the difference is it can work overnight. You can see results overnight, but especially if you're doing the tweaks, leave it, give it a good time to kind of like settle, for you to get data that is meaningful. Because a day, if you're looking at your Etsy stats every day, please don't. You're just giving yourself a headache. Like, a day means nothing. Minimum 7 days, but I recommend 30.
Yeah, no, I think that's really helpful. It makes me feel well, you explain it so well and sort of clearly, and it makes me feel sort of more confident about that you're doing the right things rather than you think you're kind of maybe doing the right things. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And that's the thing with Etsy SEO. I feel like so many people make it overcomplicated, which I have to say, if people make it sound overcomplicated, that means they don't know what they're talking about, because Etsy SEO at its core is very simple. Yes, there's a bit of tech and a bit of data to it, but it's very simple at its core.
Yeah, it's what people are looking for, isn't it, really, at the end of the day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think you just had a last question drop in. I'm conscious of letting you go.
Nikki showed us a new feature where you add a video of your item. Would that be worth doing to engage shoppers? Absolutely. Obviously, people shopping online, they can't touch, they can't really see the detail of your item. So use that video to all your capability. Obviously, I think you're only allowed up to 15 seconds, but maybe you show the detail of your painting, or you give a quick overview, like your 360, if you run around the item in 15 seconds.
Or the light coming up, because a lot of us do drinks cabinets, so we thought it's quite nice when you open it up and the light comes on and you see the inside, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Any way that you can showcase the item being used or in situ, that's going to help the buyer think how it works in their house in any way it is. So absolutely.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's a new feature. I've not seen it until recently, so
I was lucky enough to be invited to test it, and I have to say there were quite a few bugs, so I hope, obviously it's amazing now, and I hope it will just continue to get better, because the bugs were incredible at the start.
Oh God, it's like when they first brought Reels out for Instagram, and I thought, I hate this app, because everything would just delete itself after I spent ages doing it. I just thought, right, we're not friends. But it's progress, isn't it? You've got to give these things a try.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much, Sam. That's been absolutely brilliant. And I think I'll be looking at your courses myself, actually, because it's I realise, you just bumble along with these things. I've done pretty okay, but there's so much more that you could be doing that just make you feel confident. And then you can just leave it, like you say, and just let it do its thing. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome, and thank you very much for having me on to help you guys out.
It's been a pleasure. All right, well, you take care. Thank you for joining us, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care. Good night, everybody. I will see you back in the group soon. I hope you enjoyed this evening. See you all. I'm just going to end the meeting for everybody. See you later.